Little technical difficulties here. Ready? Good. Okay, so I don't normally teach this section, but when I was asked to do it, I realized how important it is. And so I decided, oh, absolutely, I'll teach this one. If you're on the buyer side of this, you're basically auditioning with the listing agent for the role to sell this house with them, to be the co-agent. In my experience, I've seen the fact that if you have multiple offers and one is written very well, no blanks, you know, the listing agent doesn't have to go through and make corrections, I found that you'll get noticed a lot better. There are other ways to get noticed, and I did bring my lender in, Ed, to talk about the other ways to get your offer noticed. But writing a solid offer is huge, okay? You can't learn to write an offer by default. You can't go in and wing it and say, okay, well, I can figure out what the tax ID is and things like that. You have to follow the correct, in my words, the correct procedure, okay, is to write a solid offer. I hate blanks, for example, okay? If you leave something blank, it can, in my eyes, it can be dangerous. It can be checked later. If it doesn't apply to you, cross it out. You know, it takes a good agent 30, 40 minutes to write the regional sales contract, right? Cross it out if it doesn't apply. If you're not doing a radon test, cross it out, right? Save yourself the headache later. And I'll just tell you that it's something that I've learned in the business is sometimes when you take the shortcut, you end up going the long way, right? You don't want to do that. Okay, so let's talk about, first off, you got to report in. I guess it says to report in from your daily stuff from yesterday. I don't know what that is. Don't care. We can move on. So let me talk about what the expectations are for this course for today. It's learn how to present when you are representing the buyer. That's how to present an offer, right? That is, we're going to learn how to receive offers when you're representing the seller. That's huge. That is something that you need to learn to go over with a fine-tooth comb, because if you miss something, and I can give you an example, the washer and dryer don't convey. You're representing the seller. The washer and dryer don't convey. On the contract, it's checked, yes, that they both convey. You don't review it thoroughly. You're just excited to have an offer for your clients, right? Your client wants to keep the washer and dryer. On the contract, it says washer and dryer. Come closing day, who's paying for a washer and dryer? You are. You are, because you missed it. In the listing agreement, it says washer and dryer do not convey. On the contract, it says convey. Who made the mistake? You did. Nothing worse than buying someone a dryer. Okay? I've done it. Trust me. I've done it. Ed's laughing because he knows. I used to, like I said, the shortcut takes you the long way. I get excited, look at the number. Was there any closing costs? No. Boom, here. Sign this. We got an offer. You really, really thoroughly have to learn to review those. We're going to practice some scripts throughout both processes. You guys did scripts yesterday at all with Jackie? A little bit? You guys like scripts? Sort of? See, my take on a script is it's sort of like a roadmap until you learn which way you're going. You know, when you first start driving at 16, you don't remember how your parents got you to Walmart or Target, whatever, Sears, whatever. And now you do. That's a script. That's where you had your, never mind.
Remember, this is being recorded, gentlemen.
Yeah. Okay. So there's our expectations. I'd also, okay, we're also going to talk about positive negotiation. A lot of agents that you'll find that don't have the training that Keller Williams agents have think it's us versus them. And it's really not. We both have the same common goal. If you're the buyer's agent, I'm the listing agent, we both want to get paid. We both want our clients to be happy, right? You want a positive negotiation. And that starts in the beginning. If you start off as a jerk, they're going to think you're a jerk. So it just starts off, let's just try to be positive in that. Okay. Here's the action reveal. So it says, you've got to be accountable for your work. today. I'm good. I got you, Dave. I'm fine. I promise.
I know I don't need to stand here and hold your hand,
No, you don't.
but then, hey, if he starts to drown, somebody call him.
Yeah, I'll call you first. So let's talk about, I'm sorry, this is a different class than I teach, so I don't know the book entirely. Let's just talk about the ahas. Did you have any ahas from yesterday with Jackie? Anything that stood out that she talked about yesterday that you may have a question about that I can help you with? No? I mean, that's fine. I mean, it happens. I'm going to go straight to lead generation habits daily. They talk about this every day. Is this in every class? Okay, so skip it. All right, so get out your call list and to begin calling people. You guys ready to do that? Okay. I mean, if you want to call people, we can. If not, let's just.
We've not been doing that.
Okay, so you haven't. Okay, so what I would say is that's the foundation where we build our business, is those calls, right? I've never seen a house built with the roof first, and then they start under here. You got to make the calls. If your trainer make the calls, I would ask that like we stop for like 5 minutes and everybody make one, and don't leave the room. Just let other people hear it, and I'll call someone if you want. But let's call one person each, okay? And then it says you're supposed to write some thank you cards. I brought them, so no one has an excuse not to.
I'm right here.
Yeah, I'll come get you. You guys want to make that call, or is it something you want to? Is anyone scared?
I've been doing my stuff in the afternoon.
Okay.
Now that's working for me.
Okay, perfect.
So like yesterday, I did 6 contacts.
Okay.
With people. Right now, I'm going through the process of letting people know what I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
and where I'm going to be, and asking them for that help of can I put you in my database?
Right. You're at a beautiful time. You're at a beautiful time. You got an announcement letter out?
Well, that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's the announcement letter. Because, I mean, just based on the contacts that I have, a lot of my contacts are not in this area.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of all over the country based on my prior career.
Right.
So I'm going through, I'm taking this kind of form letter that I wrote, personalizing it to the people that I'm sending it to, so that it comes across as personal to them.
Absolutely. Perfect.
And then, as I'm hearing back from people, then I'm putting it into the database.
Okay.
And like yesterday, I did 3 thank you cards.
Perfect. That's what you should do. Tim, I know you're making calls, dude. You and I are in productivity together. I know you're making calls. How about you? Any successful calls?
I just got a license.
Okay.
I told my friends I'm doing it. I added their content.
Perfect.
My husband has been people.
Okay.
I'm going to this side now. So,
Okay, so you just got licensed?
yes.
And you got DPOR now, you're going through. Okay, I would just call people and say, hey, listen, my license is, I'm going to be ready to start helping you. If you know anyone buying or selling, would you refer them to me? And what you want to do is that's qualifying them. If they say, well, my aunt's a realtor, you know not to mail to them once a month, right? Because their aunt's a realtor, right? But if someone says, oh, of course, I'd love to help you. You just, well, good. Can I have your address? Do you mind? Well, what do you need my address for? Well, once a month I send out some cool items about real estate or about something else. But I just love to have you on my client appreciation list, right? Boom. Qualified, right? And that's what you need to be doing now. All day would be qualify. Who do I know I can count on to refer me? And if someone gives you, if someone's being truthful. If you call me, hey, Drew, yeah, I just got into real estate. Will you help? Well, if I say, of course, I'd love to help you. If I hear of anything at work, I'll let you know, right? And that's going to be your first thing to qualify them. Then after you qualify them, you're going to teach them how to refer you. Because they say, well, give me a stack of business cards. That doesn't work. I mean, I've got more business cards in the trash and car wash probably than anyone. Like I stopped buying thousands at a time, People don't keep your business card. I remember like 2 years ago, I had a challenge to anyone when I would see them, if they would give me my business card, when I would bump into them, I'd give them $100. No one got my $100. None of my friends, nobody I met at an open house, nothing. So I'm learning the hard way, right? Like we all are. All right, so let's talk about the process of moving from a buyer or seller agreement to the sales contract. That's really small in the back. So here's the process, right? The buyer's going to make an offer. The seller's going to respond to the offer. Okay? Now they can respond by accepting, rejecting, or counter. Mostly, I've found that you're going to get a counter. If you don't come in full price and it's not you're not in a multiple offer situation, they'll probably counter. Terms, you could put a 45-day close, they may want a 30-day close. When an offer goes out and it's countered, if you sign it and send it back, you agree to the counter, that's ratified. Okay, so then we're down to accept. Now, if it's just a terrible offer and you're the listing agent on a $400,000 property and my client offers you $325,000, you can just hit write reject or just tell them you reject it. Doesn't happen much. Usually you can counter. Okay? Then the negotiation, if they accept the offer, we're going to contract the close process. That's where you get the title company involved, you got your lender coming out, things like that. What I'd like to do is run and get Ed now, because what I want him to talk about is when you first write that offer on the buyer side, the importance of the lender letter. And I did print out a contract that is ratified. I got enough copies here.
Upstairs? You want me to grab?
What? He's in there. I'll grab him. Here, this is a contract all the way through. This is with a lender letter on one of my listings. Okay? This is a ratified contract. I printed this out for you guys just to see. Okay? Oh, no problem. If you look at this, the reason I printed this one out, it's because there was,
This is my neighborhood that I grew up in.
Oh, yeah?
Is that Gordon Street?
Yeah, Duke Street, right off of Duke. Yeah, I grew up in Alexandria too, so I'm very familiar. If you look, when you start going through that, you'll see a bunch of corrections. This buyer's agent was very nice, right? She made a lot of mistakes on the contract we had to go through, and you'll see some initials in strange places and things like that. The reason I wanted you to see this one is she did not check if it was contingent or not on home inspection. So she didn't check yes or no. Now, question, if that's not checked and her clients have signed, my clients have signed, is that a ratified contract? No. Home inspection, I don't know if they want it contingent upon or not. So I went in and checked it, and you'll see where I checked it, and then my clients had to initial. Then it became a ratified contract. But leaving a blank, like I said before, left it open to interpretation, and you don't want that. You don't want someone to be, like I checked not contingent upon home inspection, put a crosshatch, and sent it back to them. Now, what if they wanted a home inspection? I checked no. That's why I say blanks are a detriment. I just want to bring Ed up because I know he has stuff to do. I want him to talk about, on the buyer side, how important it is for your lender to be a part of you getting this deal. Now, yeah. Thanks. Let me see it. So one thing, I work closely with Ed. Ed does all of my loans if my clients will let me. I have Ed call the listing agent before I've even presented the offer. Okay, so he'll call. If Tim's my client, he'll say, hey, I'm calling on behalf of Drew Swersky and Tim Hong. And let me just tell you, Tim is qualified. He's got this, he's got that. You will be receiving an offer within the next couple of hours, but I just wanted to call you ahead of time. Huge. Remember what I said when we write an offer? We're auditioning to be the co-agent with that listing agent. This has been huge for me. I've had people call and say, you haven't even submitted the offer yet, and your lender's calling. Like, that's awesome. Like, we're auditioning for that job, right? That's why I say no blanks, and you want to be very diligent. Now, I just want him to talk about, now the lender letter is in front. It's from Prosperity, unfortunately. But here, it's right here.
This is a fancy clip we got here, man. Where we get that, Staples? Okay, good morning. Prosperity, are they still in business? I'm just kidding. What is this one? Okay, there's two types of lender letters. I'm going to start with that before we get into selling it. And you've probably heard this before. There's a pre-approval and a pre-qual. Do you know the difference?
Sure.
What is it?
Pre-qualification simply means that based on the information you've told your lender, that you could qualify for a certain dollar amount. Whereas pre-approval is based on you actually providing some level of documentation to prove what you've told your lender.
100% correct. What most of us provide, what most of us ask for a pre-approval, is the documents that won't expire. Now, because there's an expiration when you provide us pay stubs, we're going to want recent pay stubs, like the most recent. So we're not going to ask for pay stubs. What we're going to want is your tax returns the last 2 years, because they don't expire. Okay? That's the number one thing I ask for. And Rich, who's right there, Rich and I work together. We all work together. Rob, Rich, and I. We're independent, just like you guys all work for Keller Williams, but you're independent, right? But we'll all be very similar in what we ask for. Number one thing, tax returns, last 2 years. Number two is, show me a bank account statement that the money's coming from, because we'll have a conversation with the borrower. Conversation usually goes like, so you want to buy this house, where's the money coming from? In a more gentle fashion, but that's the gist. I want to know if there's a gift involved. You don't have to know that as a realtor. That's my side. But those are things I'm going to ask. Oh yeah, my dad's given me a gift of $50,000. Oh, so that leads a whole other path of conversation, as in, do you have the money yet? Like, is the money sitting in your account? But in any case, I don't want you guys to worry about that. What's important for you to know is that if I give you a pre-approval letter, either I am 100% certain that this client is not lying to us, and yes, those things do happen, or I already have documentation in front of me. I'm very confident. Also, just like Drew says, and I do this all the time, this spring, you're going to write an offer on a property. Good morning. You're going to write an offer on a property, and you're going to be multiple. There'll be 3 other offers in that property, or 4. My wife is a real estate agent, has been for 20 plus years, and she's in this office. So I have to mind my P's and Q's. I also hear daily, and have for 20 plus years, what a realtor sees on your side. Essentially, you guys all operate a little bit differently. Some people just want to know, is this loan going to be approved, yes or no? That's that guy right there. He comes into my office, and remember, I can come into your office too. And he'll say, are we ready to go? Yes or no? Everybody's different, and I'll say, yeah, we're fine. Or some agents want to know the excruciating minutia of the details every step of the way. It's just something that we have to learn because we're partners and we work together. Whichever way is fine with us. Just let us know. Communicate, we're a team. We're in this together. Okay? Part of being in it together is calling the listing agent in a multiple offer situation, and I can't stress enough how important this is, and let me call this listing agent. Let me sell your borrower to the listing agent. Let me sell myself to the listing agent. So and if you're on the listing side, and Drew has already said, hey, I got an offer coming in, and you get a call from the lender saying, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, they are fantastic. I have their tax returns. I got their pay stubs. I've also got their bank statements. They're ready to go. I have already run them through DU. We're ready. We can close in 3 weeks. That's what you want to hear on the listing side, right? You want to hear your property sold and the lender's ready to go, and boom. Even if the offer isn't as rich from a down payment standpoint, because sometimes you only got 3.5% down or 3% down or 5% down, and you're going in against somebody who's got 20% down, because that's going to happen to you. You need all the ammunition you can get. You need your partner to step in. You need to do as much stuff on your side so you can win that contract. So that's a huge part of what we do. And by the way, I love to talk to listing agents. Yes, sir.
Okay, so in the communication of the financing piece to the seller side.
Okay, go ahead.
Why is it important that they know any of the details?
They don't.
In terms of,
I don't tell them how much money they make or how much is in the bank.
no, I'm talking about down payment, things like that.
Oh, because it'll be in.
As a lender,
Yeah, go ahead.
saying they're good to go based on the offer that's coming to you.
Yes.
Why is any other detail relevant to them?
Well, okay, let's switch the roles. So you're the listing agent, and I'm calling you. I forgot your first name. I apologize. Dennis. I call you and say, Dennis, this is a 3% down Fannie Mae first-time home buyer program. My borrowers are ready to go. We have plenty of money, and we're 100% approved. I already got their tax returns. I can close in 3 weeks. That's how much information I give them.
Right.
And they have very high FICO scores, which means they have great credit. That's my conversation to you. Okay? As a listing agent, you don't really need to know any more than that. You can ask me, and they'll ask me, well, do they have enough money in the bank right now? And my answer is, it's fine. It's a delicate conversation there. I'm not, and I won't reveal it to you either without my client's permission. As you're the selling agent, I'm not going to tell you, because mostly it's none of your business. And when it is your business, I'm going to ask my client first, are you okay with me telling Tim what the delay is here? You follow me? Because sometimes there's a delay. Does that answer your question or no? Does that help? Yeah. Okay. We have to be very careful of what we reveal. And again, it's a sales call on my end, on your behalf, or actually the client's behalf. I'm selling this client and this transaction to this listing agent, and I know what they want to hear. And you would be shocked that very, very few realtors use that. Vast majority do not.
Will the lenders do it?
I don't know of a lender who won't do it. But I can tell you in this office, there's a handful who actually utilize it on a regular basis. Drew does, because Drew is constantly, the most important word in real estate is hungry. He has mouths to feed. He's hungry. He wants the transaction. He will do whatever's necessary to service that client, to take care of his client so he can feed his family daily. Drew is hungry. That is key. If you're hungry, you're going to make it. If you're not hungry, you ain't going to make it. If you're casual, okay? Any other questions? We're here all the time. And small prop, 12 o'clock, meet the appraiser. Definitely. And there'll be food. It's definitely good. It's good. The appraisers are great.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate that. The reason that I wanted Ed to speak to you guys about that is you got to know what your time is worth, right? We all have an idea. You've been in sales before. They always say, hey, calculate what your time is worth, right? In sales. I've been in sales forever. If you write an offer, don't have your lender call. Just get a letter. Email it over to the agent without calling, right? You're wasting your time. If any of you guys were to ever do that and go up against me, I would smoke you 100%. Because if my clients say, Drew, we got to have this house, they have their heart set on it, that I'm going to do what I have to do. And having your lender call, having your buyers pre-approved, pre-qualified is huge. It's huge. If someone comes to you and says, hey, I got a Rocket Mortgage pre-qualification letter, let's go. No, dude, you're not really qualified. They haven't seen your tax returns yet. They did it. They don't even know what you look like, right? When I do a buyer presentation, I have my clients come in the office. Ed comes in after I do 25 minutes. Then I go get Ed. I bring him in. Then I leave. Ed meets with my clients separately, right? I don't want to know. Some people might be embarrassed to say they're worried about their credit, right? I've built this rapport with them. I think they're great. They think I'm great. They may not want me to hear about some credit snafus, but that's Ed's job. Then Ed comes back, thumbs up, thumbs down, gives me the letter, and that's where we go from here, right? So we start showing homes. You've done all that. Hopefully you've done the Ignite showing homes class. If not, don't worry about it. So now we're going to write an offer, right? Now, the great thing about this place is they give you an offer checklist, right? So you know what to include in the offer, right? For example, if the home was built before 78, right? Got to have lead paint in there, right? That's on the realtor exam. I mean, so let's talk about the checklist for preparing the offer. I think that's page 13. So we talked about the pre-approval letter, right? That's first. If you do a good buyer presentation and you bring in your lender with you, you'll have that letter the same day, right? You keep that letter on your phone, you keep that letter saved on whatever, the cloud, you have the letter, okay? So then, let's talk about like a CMA. If you're going to write an offer, you want to make sure that your clients are getting the best deal possible, not overpaying for the home. Two things will help that. You'll look at comps, right? Just look at comps. It's easy. Print them out. I don't do a CMA. I just print the comps. And you're going to put an appraisal contingency in the contract, which you'll go over in the contract class. So the appraiser has the final word. The bank's not going to loan more money than the house is worth. Okay? So then review the tax record. I mean, that's pretty basic stuff. You're going to go look at the tax record, see what the current seller paid for it, see what it sold for to them. You may be able to kind of figure out how much equity they have in the home, right? And then, this is huge, and I think I've went over this just a few times already, to build rapport with the listing agent. It's very important because you guys have a lot of work to do after the contract's ratified, right? There's going to be a home inspection. You got to get the appraisal done. There may need some work that needs to be get. You guys are going to end up working together. So building rapport with them, which is the fifth one. When speaking to a listing agent, build rapport and gather as much information about the seller and the property as you can. That's pretty standard stuff. Hey, how long have they lived there? You can ask them why they're moving. I don't necessarily do that. I just want to know, what is it the seller's looking for, right? The house has been on the market 2 days. My clients love it. 9 times out of 10, the seller's looking for the most money after 2 days on the market, right? That's it, Okay, so it says, ask questions of the listing agent and discover what's important to the seller, right? You got a home that's been on the market more than 30 days. Maybe you find out that the seller needs to move to Wyoming in 30 days. You have a little more leverage with your offer there, right? Instead of 2 days. So that's why you're asking these questions. You can always ask about how many showings. I usually don't. If the home's been on the market for more than 30 days, I'll ask the agent, why do you think it sat so long? Or if it's winter time, I'll just say, hey, it's a little slower right now. But if it's on 2 days, I'm not really going to ask about the activity. I really don't care. If my clients love it and it's only been on the market 2 days, we're going to hustle up to get that offer in. You can ask if there have been any other offers. Have you guys been through the listing agreement yet? And seen the listing agreement? I know you have. There's a box now on the listing agreement that gives the broker and agent permission to discuss other offers with other agents. When I'm the listing agent, I have my clients check that box all the time. It helps me leverage. If I have a $300,000 property and I have an offer for $299,999 and someone calls and says, hey, do you have any other offers? Absolutely, I have a full price offer. And they'll say, oh, well, my clients love the home. What do we got? You need to bring a little bit more then, right? So that helps you get the most bang for your buck when you're the listing agent. So a good agent will check that box. I forgot what page of the listing. I think it's page 4 of the listing agreement that states broker agent may discuss other offers with other agents. It's not how it's worded. So you want to find that out. You definitely want to find that out, right? That's huge. Just an example of building rapport with other agents. This agent who wrote this offer here that you have in front of you, like I said, she was really nice. She wrote a really poor offer, but she stayed on top of everything. She didn't quit. I rewrote the offer for her, but she had built good rapport with me, and I had called the lender. The lender didn't call me. You'll find, and Ed says that only a handful of people do it. In all the listings I've had, I've never had a lender call me first. I've always called them. These people were well qualified. He was a veteran. He was getting a VA loan. So I said, okay, she built good rapport. I'll help her get through the rest of it. Because she had built that rapport, I was able to say it'll be worth it to fix this contract a little bit. So she had built a good rapport. Okay, so page 17. This is scripts. Okay. So let's practice this script. Let me read it first. When a buyer, these are objection handling. So this is, let's see. All right, everybody just silently go through these two scripts, about 5 minutes. Everybody get through it. Those are two pretty standard objections that you see. A lot of times with first-time home buyers, you'll get the low-ball offer because they just don't understand how things work here. Another way to handle the objection about the repairs is in your buyer presentation. In my buyer presentation, I have an entire slide dedicated to the home inspection. It discusses what we would ask for, which are major items, right? Especially if we're in a competing situation, we don't want to go in and say, hey, the carpet is kind of torn up in the corner over there. You mind replacing the entire basement carpet, right? If we're in a competing offer, that's going to get us, they're going to say no, and they're going to basically void our offer, right? If you educate your people ahead of time on these things, right? I also have a slide because, like I said, I've been through these objections so many times. I have a slide on my buyer presentation about price and what to offer. And before I go into my presentation, I look up the percentage of what homes sold for that month. For example, homes sold for 98.5% of asking price last month. So I put that in my offer. And I'll say, the title of my slide is, Let's Be Realistic. And then pops up, homes in Northern Virginia sold for 99.5% of asking price last month. What I'm doing is I'm setting expectations early so I don't have to handle these objections later, right? And not everybody does that. So you do need to know how to handle these objections, but if you set the stage ahead of time, you don't have to go back, right? And it could be, 1 month, it said homes in this area sold for 110% of asking. And it did. We were on fire. I mean, multiple offers, guys driving the price up 20K, So it changes. But if you look it up, you educate your client first, they're not going to want to offer 310 on a 400, right? And you set that precedence. But these are good objection handlers, right? And if you don't set the precedence ahead of time, then you may need to use these. But I just feel like an educated buyer is an easier buyer to work with, right? And also with a seller. If you say, hey, just to let you know, after the home inspection, they may come and ask for a few things to be fixed, right? And they say, oh, really? Yeah, they could, or they could ask for a credit. That way it's not a shock when you call them and say, hey, the home inspection's done. They want $5,000 to fix the HVAC, whatever, right? And they're like, why didn't you tell me? Like, it's all about, if we educate these people, then these things aren't as painful to them. Okay, so let's talk about receiving an offer. Let me see what page that is. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a little note in here that just says, if you guys don't have a mentor in the office, when you write your first offer, I'd encourage you to come like to me, Sheila, someone to review the offer first. It just practice makes perfect, but if you get a second pair of eyes on it, one of us can show you if you did anything wrong. All right, so let me talk about representing the seller. Gathering information about the buyer is that's basically what I have Ed do for me when he calls. I want to know their scores, not the number. I want to know they have good credit. I want to know they have, if it's a 20% down loan, I want to know they have the money, right? I want to know they're qualified, and I want to hear from the lender, and I want to research a little bit about who he works for, right? Now, I don't bash anyone. I just know that a Navy Federal loan, a USAA loan, those are like, you try to call, you have an issue with this loan on a Saturday and you try to call the Navy Federal guy, right? That 1-800 number goes straight to some robot lady. The reason I use that is because I can call him on a Saturday. If you're assigned to Rich or whoever you're assigned to, you work with someone who only does loans, right? That way you can call them on a Sunday. But you want to gather as much information as possible. If you get a USAA pre-approval letter and they say they can close in 30 days, I doubt it. Just Drew's going to be Drew, and I'm going to say it. Same with Navy Federal. If you get a Wells Fargo approval letter and it says, oh, we'll close in 30 days. Yeah, right. That's from my experience, right? That's all I can go by is my experience. All right, so I don't want to do that. Let's go back to this. So you receive an offer, right? First thing we do is review it. If you haven't done the contract yet, this is kind of tough, but you have a contract in front of you. Go through it, see what everything is, see how it's priced, see if there's any closing costs, see if they checked off everything that conveys. You've got to review the offer for your client. So let's turn to the page where it's going to show you boxes that are checked. Let me see what page that is. On what comes with the home. Okay, page 7. Sorry, guys. You see there's a couple mistakes there. If you look, built-in microwave. I whited it out. She checked no, there is a built-in microwave. If we saw that the client wanted to take the microwave, they could. My client, I'm the listing agent. If you see on the next page, they made a mistake about cooktop, and it had to have initials there. These are all mistakes that I found because I reviewed the offer. I didn't just look at the price. I didn't just look at the seller subsidy. I had to look through the entire thing. This is huge. Now, in a multiple offer situation, you're going to be busy. This job isn't easy. I hope no one told you when you were in class, unlimited income, work when you want, all that jazz, because that's not true. When you get a couple offers in, you got to go through these. I mean, it's important to understand what you're looking at. Who's paying for the wood-destroying insect inspection? It's only $35, but you don't want to end up paying for it, right? So you want to review the offer first. And then, after you've done this a while, you'll understand that you do this every day. The person you're representing, the lister, doesn't do this every day. So are you going to send them that entire offer to review, or are you going to put it in crib notes? What I do is I break it down, and it's easy. If it's a correct offer and it's written well, sale price, seller subsidy, down payment, closing date. That's all I tell them. Right? Now, if you have a client who's an engineer, he's going to want to read the whole contract. Of course, you're going to send them the contract. But in the when I send it to them, I just say, hey, listen, this is the short version of what these 36 pages mean. Closing date. sale price, seller subsidy, down payment. And I just send it to them. And I say, if you have any other questions, call me, email me. But here, this is what you need to know. They want to close on February 2nd. That you're going to make this much money. They don't want any seller subsidy, or they want $5,000 in seller subsidy. If you like this offer, you want to accept it, sign it. If they say, no, Drew, I don't want to give them seller subsidy, we're going to counter that, right? So to counter that, we would cross it out. Where it says seller subsidy on the contract, we would cross that out, write 0 or whatever amount your clients are willing to give, and have them initial. Now, that basically voids that first offer when you counter, as you know. Maybe you don't know. But that voids that offer, and you are basically making another offer. And then they have to initial. If they initial and accept, then you're ratified, right? Now, after you ratify, that's when the fun starts. People say, oh, all you do is show homes and make a lot of money and have fun. No, there's a lot of work behind the scenes. You got to order the home inspection, right? You're going to go to the home inspection. You've already advised your clients, we're only going to ask for major items. How many times do you think your clients listen to you when you say that? Hey, Drew, I want that closet door replaced. Why? Because it's ugly. Okay. Nah. Like, we already talked about this, Jane. This is for major safety items. Okay. The hot water heater is leaking. Okay, let's ask them to fix it. The deck, like different loans require different repairs. A VA loan requires certain repairs. And this is something you should learn. Matter of fact, I have a little bit of extra time because I'm moving quick. I'm going to talk about it. A VA loan requires certain things to be fixed. If you have a deck out back and there's screws sticking out, the VA loan requires all the screws are flush. If your paint is chipping or on the outside of the house, VA loan requires you to sand, scrape, and paint that. If you have steps in your house that are more than 2 and there's no railing on each side, a VA requires railing on both sides. So you have an as-is property, right? You're the listing agent. I got an as-is property. I'm excited. They're not going to fix anything. But you accept a VA loan. The paint is chipping on the outside, and there are no rails on the outside, right? But you didn't know that the VA requires these things to be fixed, and your client says, I don't have any money. This is as is. Who do you think is getting those railings? It might be you.
So since you're talking about railings, I actually ran into that exact issue back in the spring. I was selling a house in that same neighborhood that this house is in.
Okay.
Basically, the house had been completely renovated, almost 100%. New kitchen, new appliances, new electrical, all this other stuff. So the VA appraiser comes out, and one of the things that he said we had to do was install railings leading from the driveway to the landing for the back stairs, and then for the stairs leading from there down to the yard. But the buyer didn't want them, the seller didn't want to provide them. So who ended up paying for it? The 2 agents.
Yeah.
It was like $400.
Yeah. So listen, that loan that you're looking at right there, the reason I sold that home for my clients is because they were in a little bit of a financial tiff. And I paid for the paint to get done, and I paid for the railings to get built. Now, they're going to reimburse me at settlement, but they didn't have the money to do it. And they were like, we told you as is. And I said, yes, but before we accept this offer, I need to let you know that the VA requires a few things. Now, if I was a new agent, I might not know that, right? So when you get with a lender, or next time you see a lender and you say, hey, if I'm a listing agent, tell me some of the things the VA requires us to fix, right? Because you got to know this. You don't want to look like Tim Tummy, the neighborhood dummy, to your clients, right? You just don't. And I told my clients ahead of time, I said, if you accept this offer, here's what needs to get done. They were like, Drew, we don't have the money. I was like, listen, this offer is $14,000 above asking, right? I'm going to knock it out for you. I'm going to get my handyman to do it, and you just reimburse me a settlement. They were like, cool. Got a receipt from my handyman. Take it to the title company. Title company will put it on the closing disclosure. Drew, everybody's happy. Deal gets done. Client's happy. Drew happy. Buyer happy, right? That's our goal, right? Sometimes it's by any means necessary because you don't want to put that home back on the market. Oh, my clients won't put a $200 railing up. I got to put it back on the market. The market could have shifted. I might not get a contract. It might sit there, right? Sometimes we just got to do what we have to do. And the more you know and the more you educate your buyers, and sellers, the less that stuff happens. Okay, so anybody have any, like, I hate the word aha, right? I don't know why we use it. Sorry if Sheila's watching, or Gary Keller if you're watching. Sorry about the ahas, brother, but is there anything that we didn't cover, or that even anything that's not pertaining to this that you have a question about before we go on to scripts? Anything? No, that's fine by me.
I do have.
Yeah, go for it.
This could be personal, Drew, but I was looking at your contract.
Right.
I mean, this property was listed like within 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
And is this kind of normal when you had like seller subsidies of like 13 something? Are you representing? You were representing.
So the list price on that property,
Yeah.
$315. Look at the sale price. I'm sorry, $313 was the list price. Look at the sale price. You see where they made up for the difference that they needed? On a VA loan, the veteran can take what's left at settlement. And that's the only loan. See, these are more good things that pop up. That's the only loan that I changed the price in MRIS because the appraiser was going out. And I didn't want the appraiser to see that I had listed it at $313 and ratified at $325. Is it $325, $327? Yeah. So I changed it in MRIS after I accepted the offer to $325. Well, when the appraiser goes to look, appraisers have MRIS access. So when he went to look, I wanted him to see that I listed a little bit higher. Comps in the area, and he knows, 370, 368.
You can change the list price. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Right before I accepted the offer, I went in, changed the list price, and then put it under contract.
Would that affect the commission?
My commission's going to stay the same, but they make more money. What basically the veteran and Tim and his agent went through, did the math to cover the closing costs and to cover getting it painted. Added that to the seller subsidy, and then made the offer the same. Because they weren't competing situations, right?
I totally
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened was they wrote the offer for more to compensate for what they were asking back.
I was looking at you. I was like, the list price and how it was, you wouldn't accept it.
Yeah, no. Not in 4 days either. Yeah, but what happened was the gentleman doesn't have a lot of capital for his closing costs, and he wanted to live in the neighborhood bad. And think about it. Those homes are going for $378, $368. The guy still came out, in that area too. Like,
That neighborhood is actually more, you go around the corner up onto Garden, Vermont, Usher.
Yep.
You're 400 plus.
Yeah, and if he can take some of that money that he gets back, which, like I said, the VA loan for veterans is the only loan where they can take the money left over. The buyer can take the money from settlement. That's the only loan. Had they done that in a conventional loan, whatever wasn't used to buy down the rate, to pay whatever, would go back to the seller. So we knew that they could take the money left over from settlement. And that's the only loan. Now remember that. That's the only loan, right? That you can do that. All right. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to, page 25 is work the offer. Break into groups. Use an offer. Okay, so guys, you mind if I skip that? Unless you want to practice presenting the offer to each other. I don't have a problem with role playing. I'm doing 2 modules in one, so I'm kind of short. I want to make sure I keep enough time. If anyone wants to practice presenting an offer, come see me any day of the week, and I'll practice with you. It's not rocket science, right? You'll know what the sale price is, right? You'll know, like I said, you'll break it down into crib notes for your seller, right? And you'll present it. Easy. I mean, it's easy. we can work on that another time. All right, so this is all Kellerisms. I think they're great. Next. Okay. Let's take a break here, and then I'll go on to the next one. Just not, yeah, taking a break. Break time.
Drew, do you know my niece? Courtney Woodball? I think you guys are friends on Facebook or something.
I'm not sure. Sounds familiar.
She's young, 23. She's worked for the sheriff's department.
She knows my son. My son's Andrew Swersky.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, he's junior. Okay, so any concerns with?
No, this is different.
Oh.
Because we're on break, right?
Oh, yeah, no, I just want to make sure that, listen,
Sorry. There's a lot of paperwork going on here for
They
this
feel-
newbie.
they feel some of this stuff with filler, because the class needs to be, if you guys don't mind, I'll skip the BS and get to the nuts and bolts of things.
No, that's good.
Things happen, right?
That's good.
And this class is great. Just learn what you can, and then when the time comes, get some help, right? Listen to what you can now. Okay, so Drew said a VA, try to remember stuff like that, right? But when you get an offer, or you gotta write an offer, come to someone who's done it before. Just say, borrow 5 minutes of your time, right? And ask, knock on the door and say, hey, can you help me for 5 minutes? And let somebody sit down and help you. Learn what you can, and then do it.
So I'm curious as to the list price on this, compared to the house that I just sold in that same neighborhood. My 327 is very low.
313 is even low. My clients.
You just want it out?
My clients were terrible homeowners.
Oh, needed work. Got it. So if you look at that whole Wakefield / New Gardens area, the house I sold, probably still has the record for that neighborhood. It never made it on the market. Sold for $450.
Wow.
But it was a brand new house.
Yeah, I mean,
new kitchens, new baths.
Yeah, I mean, that's what these people are gonna do with this.
Yeah. And the people right next door to the house, they were poorly done for 400. So I went and looked at it. It was terrible. It's smaller than it already was, and it was a tiny kitchen. I mean, the guy that did the run put more cabinetry into an already small kitchen. Whereas I blew out the walls and opened it up.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of good ones in there, this one was many to be renters.
Yeah. I wanted to send a couple of things over there too.
So it's your.
Yeah.
This won't ever, that 25% won't ever. Because, right, everyone's gonna make, right. And if it is the leader of the productivity group, then technically, I mean, it's kind of like being in the team, right? It's never going to.
So everything okay? Anything you need to ask?
Not at the moment, it will come with the time.
I explained everything thoroughly.
Yes.
Okay. Tim, I explained everything.
Yeah.
All right, I just like to see the, I don't want to get so mad at all the whole thing. That's cool. Just some of the things that I'll
I'm gonna
hard
take this class. I just started and I'm throwing all this stuff at me, so I'm trying to fill out paperwork with it at the same time.
don't drink from a fire hose. Don't try to learn everything at once. Take your time. Your job right
Don't
now,
drink from the fire hose, I love that.
your job right now is to talk to people.
Yeah, that's what, this class is killing me, because I can't even start, like,
Okay.
getting back to my people.
Talk to people. When you line someone up, get help.
Yeah.
We actually should be taking this for free. And boot camp.
Boot camp basics is the one that I say, never miss a boot camp basics. That's the same one I took when I first started.
Yeah.
Yeah, boot camp basics.
Well, this has good information, like to sit and read, and know, but, now it's like, letting everybody know, real estate.
That's all. That's all. And And there's some little things you need to know, like the veterans loan, the VA loan, things like that. You should try to remember, but
Well, after like 2 houses, go through that process.
you guys got anybody you're working with yet?
They should do like something, maybe subset or ignite that just works on lead generation. Like just for new agents to start in, you know how we do with productivity, but like a much newer version of them. So that, because that's the main thing, once they have everything goes.
Yeah, well, here's my take on that, bro.
Yeah.
If you can't talk, if you're not willing to talk to people, go to UPS. I said it before. Go work for, go see what Brown can do for you. Because if you're not willing to talk to people, then go somewhere else, right? Well, people say, well, I don't want to call my friends and tell them what I do. Why not? Those are the best people to practice on. Fail with your friends, and then when you meet someone new, you're good to go, right?
Well, I think part of it, at least from my thing, is, we hear all these terms thrown at us when you're brand new about, 8x8, 33 touch and all of those other stuff. What exactly does that mean? Give us an example of, what do you say when you're telling people these different things?
Okay, so
you have a bunch of stuff. Okay, so I've been told to do this stuff, but I don't really know exactly how to do this.
right. I completely understand. So he's saying he's been told to contact everyone, right? Reach out. How? What's the best way? I think first things first is an announcement letter to everyone whose address you have, right? Hey, guess what? Join Keller Williams, starting a new career in real estate. Done. We live in a generation where people pay attention to 140 characters or less more than they do this long drawn out, hey, guess who I am? Here's what I did. Here's where I went to school. Here's where my kids play. Skip that for now. It's, hey, just became a realtor at Keller Williams, right? First month. Followed by a call, maybe a text, right? Text with a purpose is something I didn't believe in until productivity. And Tim and I are in productivity together. He can tell you. Texting someone with a purpose, right? And then show people you care. How hard is that, right? You and I meet each other. We haven't seen each other in a while. Hey, how are you? I'm good. Great. I'm great too. What are you up to? Well, now, Drew, I'm working at McDonald's in the drive-thru right now. I'm the lead McChicken guy. Oh, that's great, man. I'm kind of busy too, man. I'm doing real estate full time. Market's been solid. I'm really happy. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So do you have a realtor you work with? No, Drew, I don't. You do now, right? If you overcomplicate it, then it becomes rehearsed. It becomes fake. People are going to know when you're fake, especially your friends. Your friends, are you shy?
Not with friends.
Not with friends, but a stranger. Okay, so now your goal for the next 30 days when I see you again is to practice on all your friends and your family. Those are the people you want to make the mistakes on, right? Oh, Jane, remember I told you that you could buy this house with a VA loan? You're not a veteran, I'm sorry. She'll be like, oh, that's funny. You guys will laugh about it. Now, you do that with someone else, they're going to fire you. Your friends are the ones you want to practice on. And people say, well, I don't want to ask my friends for business. UPS. Go to UPS where you don't have to talk to anyone. All you got to do is drop something off. Talk to everyone. That's how I feel, right? I got a listing in Best Buy sitting at the appliance counter because the woman was buying all new kitchen appliances and I asked her what she was doing. She said, I'm fixing up my kitchen so I can sell my house. And I just slid her my card and I said, you probably already have a realtor, but if you don't, I sold 6 houses in Woodbridge this year. If you need my help, let me know. She called me the next day. I was doing measurements 2 days later. Right? Doesn't always happen like that.
That takes practice,
though. Yeah.
Talking to strangers takes practice if you're not naturally comfortable with it.
Yep. And who's best to practice on? People you're comfortable with.
I think weird asking.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
You have to look.
What is a question? What are they going to do? You know, what are they going to, you got to get over that fear. You're like, what are they going to do? Say no? So they say no.
If your best friend is going to sell their home, you have to look at it as you are the best option for them to protect them and to make sure that they sell their home and get everything done correctly. Who better to protect you than someone who cares about you, right? Selling a home is not easy. Buying a home is not easy. Who better to help you than someone who cares about you or someone who has your best interest at heart and is not working for a check, just a check, right?
My motto, because I come from, my background was event planner.
Mhm.
So instead of doing weddings and instead of doing bar mitzvahs and corporate events, I am now the event planner to the home buyer.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. They're hiring you to be a planner for their clothing, for their buying of their home. That's all it is.
Dude, you don't know how many hats you wear?
They don't have to pay, they have to pay, but they don't have to pay out of their bank account so much. It's
Well, it depends.
part of, yeah, but it's, you know what I mean? So, you know, brides go to an event planner because it is a hectic, stressful experience. And hire somebody to take that load off. If you want to buy a home and you're not doing it for sale by owner, you have to go through a realtor, but
Well,
it's hard. And
you still got to go through, I mean, if you're a buyer and you got to get, somebody's got to open the lockbox for you, right? So I agree. And we wear more than just the event planner hat. There'll be times where you take off your realtor hat and you put on your psychiatrist hat. You know, you got a husband and a wife who are arguing over something as small as what color cabinets are in a house, right? You take that realtor hat off and you say, hey guys, listen, I appreciate that you can't agree on this. I think it's great. My wife and I can never agree on anything. Let me tell you that we can get them sanded and painted the right color. And all of a sudden you're like this messiah because they didn't think about that. They're like, oh, no, dude, it's very simple. Like, don't overcomplicate it, right? All right, so I'm going to run through this so we can, this is something I pride myself on, being very strong in negotiating. Let's see what they're talking about here. So, common points of negotiation, planning strategies, communication, that's okay. Minimizing risk. Okay, so here are the expectations for today, right? Learn negotiating tips. Understand the most common points of negotiation. Walk through the 3 Ps approach of the negotiation process. Identifying negotiation tactics and counter tactics. Okay, so there is a video. Let's see when I'm supposed to show that one. Okay, I'm going to show this video.
I'm Josh Anderson from Nashville, Tennessee. I've been with Keller Williams since 2006. In 2014, we did about 200 transactions for about $60 million in volume. I grew up on a farm, so I've always seen my dad negotiating land and cows and horses, being the youngest of 4, and I'm trading and negotiating with my brothers, all growing up. So I've kind of done it all the time. Some people are certainly gravitate toward it and are naturally better at it than others. But I think that negotiation can definitely be learned. I think there's a lot of skills that go into being a great negotiator. I think it's learning your client. Instead of kind of assuming that you know what's important to them, really asking a lot of questions and letting them tell you what they need or want, and then speaking to the other agent and finding out what's most important to their client. And there's some agents that just don't give any. When I have an agent that I'm dealing with that's very tight-lipped, I just keep asking questions, and they give me information that they might not have otherwise given, whether it's a divorce or a death, or it's just they got relocated to some other city. And I think if you're really listening and being intentional and purposeful about listening, you'll find out exactly what's important to them or what they have to have. In certain situations, you have to be creative. We're always looking for that next little tip to help our clients out and win the deals. One of the techniques that we've used a lot that's worked well for us is the escalation clause. For example, if the property is listed at $250,000, we might go in at $250,000 with strong terms, and in special stipulations, we might put in there that we're willing to beat the next best documented offer by $1,000 up to $263,000. And the best offer might be $261,000, so we end up getting it for $262,000. From a client standpoint, be willing to have a real conversation with your clients. It's not us just being realtors for them, it's us consulting and advising and really telling them, if you really want this property, here's what you have to do to get it. Everybody's got a different way of how they would negotiate. And networking with other Keller Williams agents around the country, the more you hear it, the more ideas you get. And then you end up gearing it towards you and what you think is going to work best for you and your clients. A lot of it comes down to experience, and I think the more deals you do, the more comfortable you get with it. If you can step back from every transaction and learn something, you're going to get really good over time.
Man, that was boring. What's up with that guy telling us stuff we should already know? We negotiate all the time, right? You got kids? Anyone? Only me? They're the best negotiators, aren't they? But mom, right? Right? Oh, well, there you go. They're like, we negotiate every day, right? Yeah, oh, they know everything, and they know better than you do.
Oh, yeah, you don't.
Right? Our kids are like buyers and sellers. They know everything, and they know more than we do, right? Negotiating, like 101. You do what's right for your client, right? If your client can't afford to fix the HVAC, and you're representing the seller, and the buyer asks for the HVAC, you tell the listing agent, my client can't afford to fix the HVAC, right? I think negotiating is great, but when you create the win-win atmosphere, and we have one common goal, and that's to get the home closed together, listing agent, buying agent, we want it to close. You have that understanding in the beginning, negotiation's a lot easier, right? I'm going to run through this. I think negotiating certain things comes with time, right? Okay, so who did their contacts? No cards, we already did that. Laptop, tablet, yada, yada. Okay, so we watched the video. All right, so you know what you're supposed to do again, right? Okay, so yeah, you called everyone already. Okay, so this is, I think this is a good start right here. The ability to negotiate will definitely influence the transaction, okay? If you have it set up with your buyers or your sellers in the beginning, this is how things go, then the deal can close on time or faster. If your buyers know we're only asking for major items in the home inspection, when we get the report and you have to fill out that paperwork, and you guys don't know this yet, but there's time limits on all that stuff. So you write an offer. We'll just go through it real quick. You write an offer, it's accepted. In your home inspection contingency, you put that you will have the home inspection done and you will ask for items within 7 days. Okay? The seller, it's a blank, but I put 3. The seller has 3 days to say yes or no, we will fix or we won't. And then after their 3 days, you have 3 days to say, see you later, or here, we'll accept this. Right? So there's time limits on that. So there's 7, that's 10, 13, that's 16 days. If you have a 30-day close, that's more than half of your time to close. But if you set the expectations ahead of time, right? Your buyers know not to ask for the new carpet because the corner's peeled, right? So you're actually negotiating ahead of time with your clients. You're letting them know. Now, if there is something that's a safety concern or a major problem, you can ask for it. What's the worst that can happen? They say no, right? I'm married. I hear no all the time, right? You ask for it. Negotiating is simple. People overcomplicate it, right? Now, it can be when it gets into like bargaining, right? To reach an agreement. It could go back and forth. You could say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we're not going to fix that HVAC. And you as the buyer's agent could say, okay, go half with us. We understand that we're buying an older home. How's 2,500 sound? And then my clients could say, oh, we can afford 2,500, right? Now, that's bargaining, but that's also the win-win that I discussed before, right? But everything is open to interpretation, and it's different every time. If it's a hot water heater and I'm representing the seller and the buyer's agent asks me they want a $3,000 credit for a hot water heater, right? I'm going to look at that, and because I know that a hot water heater isn't $3,000, I'm going to say, yeah, right. And I'm going to tell them and advise my seller, if they need a new hot water heater, let's see how much we can get one for. Let me make a few calls, right? And then I'm going to call Ferguson or someone, a plumber, and say, hey, how much to put a 50-gallon hot water heater gas in this townhome in Alexandria? They say, $950. Yeah. I'm throwing the difference between three, So everything is in negotiation, of course. But if you know your stuff, you can negotiate better. If you know a hot water heater and costs $3,000, right? Then when they ask for it, you can say no.
What do you consider major, Drew? Do you go by item or do you go by that price?
I would say anything safety concern, anything to do with a system, as in plumbing, electric, or like a hot water or HVAC, I could ask for, depending on the circumstances. Again, everything is up to interpretation. If we're buying an $800,000 home and all the jacks are polar, they're upside down, they're in reverse reverse polarity, and that's the only thing, I may say, hey, I would call the agent in a negotiation not on paper and say, hey, how do you think your clients would feel about having an electrician come in and fixing that polarity for my clients? We're not asking for anything else, right? It's going to be case by case, right? If my clients come to the table as a buyer, an $800,000 home, and they don't ask for any seller subsidy, they're putting 20% down, and the hot water heater our inspector says the hot water heater could go at any time. Again, your inspector, that's his opinion. It could last for another 10 years. I might say, hey, how about you throw a home warranty in there for my clients in case the hot water heater goes. That way they pay cost to have it installed. Things like that. It's all interpretation with that stuff, right? And as far as like negotiating like a sales contract, it's pretty cut and dry. You sit down with your clients and you make that offer. Seller comes back and says, we won't give closing costs. What do? You say, well, what can you do? You call the agent. Hey, is there anything you could do for me? Maybe buy my clients a home warranty. Maybe kick $1,000 toward the congestion tax, something like that. It's all a negotiation, but it's got to be interpreted for each different sale, right? Prepare, present, position. I get it. Sounds good, right? I think if you've done the steps when you write the offer that I discussed with Ed, like doing what other agents don't do, I think you're in a better position, right? Position is the main P out of all three of those. If you've done the homework and your clients are qualified, you're in the right position. Ed's called. No other lender has called, but Ed has called. I'm in a better position, right? Negotiations don't necessarily have to happen if you get the good position, if you do things the right way. If you tell your client homes are selling for 99.5% of asking price, and they know, so on that $300,000 home, they offer $295, right? And it's been on the market 30 days. You're in a better position. You didn't come in at $295 with 3% seller subsidy, right? So position is huge. Being prepared, that's a given. You got to write a solid offer, right? We've already talked about that. 16. Okay, we'll read this real quick and wow, this thing jumps. All right, so everybody read this scenario, please. Yeah, page 16, the scenario. Oh, we're on a whole different unit. We're power for 10. I told you they crammed 2 units into one day today. You got it, Tim? Yeah, negotiating the deal, and then page, what is it, 16? You got the whole book, man.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, you do too. So here's the scenario. Read that real quick. All right, so there's no wrong answer here. Hypothetically, your client on a $175,000 property wants to offer $155 because she is worried the roof is old, right? What do you say to this person? Anybody have anything that they would say? How would you address this?
There are a couple things I would start with. If she's concerned about the roof issue, you could go down the road of the appropriate home warranty to give her a level of insulation for a year.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is I would ask her why she's aiming at 155 and does she understand the difference of her 155 offer versus 175 offer in terms of how that's going to affect her monthly payment. Does she realize that she's talking about probably about $100 a month?
Yeah, if that, right? That's solid. Now, I don't know what she does for a living. It doesn't say in the scenario, but I'm pretty sure she's not a roofer.
Right, you should hire them.
How does she know that the roof is bad?
Yeah.
Right? That's what the home inspection is for, right? Now, but the property, it says in the scenario, the property is as is, right? It's been some activity on the home, according to the scenario. I would see what comps are, and it is a roof on this $175,000 home, the difference in $20,000, right? I think you're spot on. I think you say, hey, I understand where you're coming from. Let me show you the difference in your payment from 175 and 155. 175, is this still lower than your rent? Yes. Okay. Are you comfortable in the monthly payment? Yes. Because you're not going to live here 30 years. You're not living in the 175, you're living in the monthly payment. Are you comfortable here? There's your negotiation, right? Yes, I'm comfortable here, Drew. Okay, so let's put in an offer for 175. Let's have a home inspector come out. I will tell him your concerns with the roof. You can follow him up there, and we'll see what the roof is from there. Okay, Drew, but what if the roof is bad and it's an as-is property? We still have the right we still are doing a home inspection. We still have the right to void the contract. If the roof if it needs a whole new roof and we ask them to pay for it and they say no, guess what? Just because it's as is doesn't mean we can't walk. But if you really want this home, we've looked at 70 homes and this is the only one you've liked. How bad do you want this home? Can you see yourself living here? It doesn't say.
But it does say there's been quite a bit of activity.
A little bit of activity, right? So it's your job not to sell, but to say, okay, Jane, we've looked at all these homes. This is the only one you liked. Could you see yourself living here? If I can get in here and see that there's nothing wrong with the roof, will you be happy? Yes. Okay, if there is something wrong with the roof and we have to walk away, are you okay with that? Yes. Let's move forward. Right? This isn't rocket science. It's like, we've seen 50 homes with this person, she's liked one. You tell her, you love this home, you gotta have it, let's go for it. You know, and it's easy to show the difference in payment. That's easy. You just call your lender. I won't put them on speakerphone. That's what I do. Yeah. No. 20,000 over 30 years. Oh, yeah. But if, like I said, is this still cheaper than your monthly rent? Yes. Okay. Can you see yourself paying this and living here? Yes. Right? The thing was, she was concerned about keeping it below her rent, or keeping her rent around the same, her mortgage and rent around the same.
I'm sure a leaky roof makes her a little nervous too, and
Yeah.
being a first time home buyer, she's not familiar with repairs, and she probably thinks that it's a huge undertaking. So educating her a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Just calling a roofer just to inspect it and giving her,
Well,
they can do patchwork, maybe they can.
yeah, your home inspectors in this area generally know their stuff. The one that helps the office, Don Frio, is that how you say it? Don Frio, they're good. Some of them are like certified engineers and all that jazz, right? So they're good. You get a good home inspector, and like I said, okay, Jane, so when we do the home inspection, I'm going to let my home inspector know about your concerns with the roof. He's going to take you up there and show you. If there is a problem, he's going to tell you. He works for you, not for me, not for the seller. Okay, Drew, that's comforting. And he was a general contractor, so he would have an idea about how much it would cost if the roof is bad.
Yeah, speaking out of being a realtor, when I was a first-time home buyer and a second home buyer, I often wondered if there was a racket with home inspectors. You know how you get the home inspector. You're always told you can get your own.
You should always get your own.
But some people, well, I don't know. I mean, but you always wondered, do they grease them a little bit to tell the buyer what they want? No.
I've been an agent for a long time, and I've never asked my home inspector to do anything but tell the truth. This is a marathon, not a sprint for me. Every client of mine I consider like a vine, right? You know, like ivy starts out as like one little annoying ass weed, and then like if you don't pay attention, it's all the way up your tree.
And it's sticky.
That's how I want my clients. I want to do such a good job for them negotiating, being honest, educating, that when they hear the word sell a house, buy a house, that they see my smiling face in the back of their head, and they're like, you have to call Drew. You have to call Drew. And if you cheat, and again, you weren't here when I said this, shortcuts end up taking you the long way. If they take a shortcut, and if you go to your home inspector and you ask him, hey, don't tell her if this is something that is leaking in the basement, and he agrees to it, fire his ass immediately, right? Because he's no better than you are if you even ask. I think that the one thing is home inspectors, there's a lot of their stuff is opinion. A home inspector looks at an HVAC and says, Drew, this may only have a couple more years. Okay. So not only are you a home inspector, but you're Miss Cleo now. You can see the future. Now understand wear and tear, and they know, okay, so a train only lasts 15 years. This one is 14 years old. I get it, right? But none of us can see the future. None of us have a crystal ball. So that's the only problem I have with home inspectors.
Home inspectors are licensed in Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm. They got to go through DPOR, just like we do.
As our appraisers.
Yep, and they're regulated. And if you find a good one, use them. I have one guy. He has his own company. It's just him. I use him all the time. I'll wait. I'll actually extend the home inspection deadline if he can't get out to one of my home inspections, because he's so good with the clients. If something is wrong, his face doesn't like get white. He doesn't, like, you can't tell that even if it is a very big thing. Some of these people, like, he does a home inspection 3-4 times a day. We sell 2 to 3, 4, 5 houses a month. We see this all the time. If you're a first-time home buyer and someone says, oh my goodness, the railing is really loose, you're like, ah, right? You panic a little bit. Or, oh, this hose coming from the hot water heater to outside is whatever. People panic. You got to know how to present it to people as well, right? And that's why I use him. And Don Florio is great about that too. Oh, yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I found a little bit of mold upstairs. And people are like, mold, world's over, right? But guess what? It's only a little patch. It's about 6 by 6. To remediate it, in my experience, it's going to be about $100. That's perfect. Instead of, oh my God, you got mold in the basement, run. Inspection over, we're done, right? You find someone that presents it the right way, and it's just how you would educate as well. Okay, so any ahas from this? Nope. Okay. I'm going to page 17 here. So call the other agent. Let them know the offer or counter offer is coming. I don't know about inviting them to the loop. I'll leave that. You guys ask Sheila about that. I don't do that. I send the counter offer via email. Whatever page it is, I just send one page. It's no need for me to keep sending back and forth. If you see the contract there and I'm only asking them to fix something on page 2, I'll have my client's initial page 2 and I'll send back page 2.
Instead of doing that dot.
Well, if they,
I haven't entered into that, but I know.
yeah, if they don't have dot loop, then all it does is create a disaster.
I just felt my experience when they used that for me recently when I sold, I was annoyed by that.
Oh, but I tell you what, you sell a house in Leesburg and you got to go get one page signed.
No.
You want to drive your happy behind to Leesburg and get it signed and bring it back, that's cool. Do it, but not me.
No.
You know?
I just,
You know what your time is worth.
In an office setting, I had the ability to scan.
Yeah,
So I was like,
yeah.
oh, but,
So here's what,
it's like, oh my gosh, I have so many things here that I need to, which one is it?
so in my buyer and listing presentations, I educate them about dot loop a little bit. Okay, I let them know that I have a software program that's going to allow them to digitally sign. I said, initially you're going to get a startup email, right? It's going to show you enter your name, how you want to sign, how you want your initials to look, and then from here on out, everything I send you to be signed will be digital. So let's go over it now, just so you get an idea of how it works. Boom, boom, boom. You good? Comfortable? Okay. Right? Any hiccup that can happen will happen, but if you're prepared, right? You're prepared and you're positioned, then these things don't happen. And educating our clients is huge. And then think about this, and one thing I agree with her on about dot loop. My dad's 76 years old. You think I really want to fuss and fight with him about using dot loop to sign something? Know who you're working for. If you got a 76-year-old man like my dad who's grumpy and yells at the TV, you may need to go take him to sign it, right? You'll know these things though. Like, you don't want to confuse them too much, and they're already stressed out about selling or buying. So just know who you're talking to, right? Okay, so pay attention to nonverbal cues. While it's not always possible or practical, your presentation, when you present your offer by phone, listen for verbal cues. Verbal cues. I mean, if you've ever done any sales before or any type, you know that if you're going back and forth with something, usually the first person to talk loses. If you and I are negotiating back and forth and I say, we want this fixed, and I slide it over to you and I just sit here. Yeah. Don't say, well, you should sign, like, don't talk yourself right into them signing and then talk yourself back out. You make your deal. Okay, sign this. This means you'll fix the hot water heater. Put it in front of them. Quiet. Don't say, if I were you, I'd do it. They may already, in their head, they may already be wanting to do it. And you may talk yourself right into it and right out of it. Right? So I always say, ask your client, hey, will you get a new hot water heater put in? It's very weird, right? Especially on the phone. And they're like, okay, Drew, what do you think? I think you should get a hot water heater put in. They've made a full price offer. They're not asking for anything. I think you should get the hot water heater fixed. I know it seems so weird. I know you guys are like, Drew's very weird. No. It is a must. And I have been the agent and I have watched an agent talk themselves into a listing and talk themselves right out. And I've watched the plane crash. My mentees have done it. I've done it. Know when to be quiet. That's a huge negotiating tool. If you and I are going back and forth over something and I just shut up and you start talking first, I'm pretty sure I won. I'm pretty sure. It's just don't talk yourself in and out, right? And, keep quiet. That was number 3. I didn't even know. Keep quiet. Sometimes letting the other person do yada yada. We just talked about that. So listen carefully. I think that's huge. I think you have to listen. But that, again, that's knowing your client, building rapport with the other agent. You know what they're going to say, what they're going to do after you've known them a little bit, right? Stay calm. Okay, very hard for me. I'm overprotective of my clients, and if another realtor yells at me or says something derogatory to me, I usually fire back. I'm getting better. I've had a couple arguments with realtors that Steve had to deal with. I live by the win-win, and when someone else is trying to shove it down my throat, I get upset. And you'll find that some of these clients you end up getting emotionally attached to, right? You've been there with them. You've seen the struggle. You've been in the car with them. You've eaten a McDonald's cheeseburger with them, or you've had coffee with them, whatever. You've just been around them. And so you get a little emotionally attached. And when someone says, man, your client's an idiot, or if your client won't fix his hot water heater, what kind of person are they? And then immediately you go into defense mode, right? Don't do that. Just say, well, that wasn't very nice. I'm getting good at saying that, but that wasn't very nice. Right? Normally I'd be like, dude, where are you right now? Because I'm on my way. Like, you and I are going to have a face-to-face chat. Like, it doesn't work like that, right? But now I just say, hey, that wasn't very nice. You expect me to go to my clients and ask them to fix this hot water heater after you just said that? Stay calm, right? It's hard. And guess what? You're doing $1 million deal, and it's getting ready to fall apart over that hot water heater. In your head, you've already spent that commission like how many times? I know I used to, when I was new, I got a buyer agreement, and I saw what they were pre-approved for. I already spent that commission check in my head 5 times, right? Imagine being 16 days in to a 30-day close. You've got 15 more days till they're going to deposit $30,000 in your account, and it's getting ready to fall apart over a hot water heater. You want to call that agent and use every 4-letter word in the book, right? Fix the hot water heater before right?
That's good.
Yeah, really, right? You got to stay calm. It'll happen, right? Or you can pay for the hot water heater yourself, but stay calm, right? And it's huge. And also, it's a negotiating tool. That person's upset about that hot water heater. There could be something else going on. Maybe they don't have the money. Maybe the listing agent told the seller, oh, don't worry, you don't have to fix anything. I got your back. Don't worry. I'm Big Bad Drew. I'm not going to let anything happen to you, right? You lied because you're going to fix this hot water heater, right? Focus on the customer's needs. Isolate the objections of both sides and offer a solution that will satisfy yada yada. We just talked about that. $5,000 for an HVAC, your client can't afford it. Hey, bud, listen, ask your clients if they'll meet in the middle. I don't want to go take them back out in the car or ride around with their stinky kids again. You don't want to put the house back on the market over this. Just go to them and say, hey, can you do $2,500 instead of $5,000? See what they say and get back to me, right? There's a negotiation right there. Look, I'm representing the buyer. I don't want their stinky ass kids in my car anymore. I don't want to take them to McDonald's 5 times, right? I don't want to have to go out and show them another 10 homes. I don't want to burn any more gas. You don't want to put it back on the market and have to explain to every agent why it's back on the market. Like, you don't want to do that. Let's work together here. Call them. Just say, hey, listen, the HVAC is pretty old. What do you think about $2,500? And just get back to me, right? It's easy. It's easy. We already talked about that. Finding an amicable solution. Give your offer the best chance. Okay. This one stinks. Be confident and committed to your offer as you present it. Avoid indicating to the other side if you believe it is less than a great offer for them. I hope none of you would do that. Oh, this offer stinks, man, but I just spent an hour putting it together. Here you go. Know what your time is worth, right? Like I've calculated what my time is worth per hour, right? And I know, and I keep it in my wallet. I won't spend it. Every time I want to waste time, I look at it like you're about to throw this in the garbage, right? Think about it. Who would call an agent and say, hey, our offer sucks, but here it is? Don't do that. My goodness, Tim, are you seeing this? What's going on? Sorry, Sheila, if you're watching, but what's going on here? Okay. Nonverbal cues. What's it like a nonverbal cue that would make you think that someone's folding your arms is like the main one. If you're sitting there talking to someone and they're like, and then they go like this, or they lean back in their chair like this, they're getting on the defensive. You can tell, right? Stevie Wonder could see that. You know that things can get messy. Pay attention, right? I almost feel like this is like kindergarten stuff for us. We've all dealt with people before. Have you ever talked to a human being in your life before? You ever been out on a date? Sorry, you ever been out on a date?
Once or twice.
And you can tell when things are getting sour, and you're like, man, I need to get Drew to call me and tell me my pipe's bust under the house so I can leave, right? You can tell when things are getting sour. This is not anything new to us, right? You can tell when your client's upset. You don't need a verbal cue. You can look over and just, what do I do to fix this, right? What did I say? What did I do?
Some nonverbals are more subtle than that.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? The entire office knows when I'm mad. I can't help it. I wear it on my sleeve. I'll come in, I'll lean back in the chair, my arm will fall, I'll turn the light off in my office and lock the door. Like, you can just tell. You should be able to tell. If you've been around your client enough, you can tell. If they fold those arms and their face gets sour, you got some explaining to do, right? Open gestures. Oh my God. So it says open palms in my teacher's guide. Not sure what that's about. So they're talking about here nonverbal cues on the phone. Okay? Very monotone, flat voice, loud tone, abrupt, and especially a slow speed. You ever been with an argument with your significant other on the phone? You know when they're mad, right? Same thing with your clients, okay? You can tell when they're upset on the phone. You still got to stay positive, right? I just had a loan that was supposed to close December 25th. It got pushed back to January 5th. 10 days. My client was furious, right? I called her. She said, hi, Drew. I said, oh, hello, Denise. How are you today? Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, so I said, Denise, you're lying to me. I said, listen, it's not your fault. It's not my fault. The loan didn't close. I said, but guess what? You're still going to be in this house in January, okay? You're going to go, your son's going to go right around the corner to get on the bus stop. No problem, right? Oh, yeah, well, I'm a little upset. Well, listen, tell me what you're upset about. That's when the psychiatrist hat comes on, right? Well, I really wanted to move in before the new year. I was hoping to have a New Year's party. And I said, okay, so your settlement was supposed to be on the 25th. You really think you're going to move all the way in and want to have people over by the 31st? I said, dude, you're a miracle worker. And I was like, can you help me? Like, I'm getting ready to, redo my house. If you can get your house done in 6 days and invite 100 people over, man, I need your help. And she starts laughing. Situation is almost diffused, right? It's what we do. You don't need to get a Keller Williams to tell you when someone is upset. And Sheila, if you're watching, I apologize. Think about it. We all have significant others, no matter who they are, what they are. We have dogs. I mean, you know when someone's upset, right? Go ahead.
I had a friend who's actually in the middle of a real estate transaction out in Harrisonburg. And they realized after they signed the contracts, it's all ratified, they're scheduled to go to closing kind of thing, that the square footage that was represented in the MLS, on the public listing, is not what the house actually is.
More or less.
It's less.
Yep.
And so she was freaking out a little bit. And her agent was out of town. And she knew that I had, recently got my license, so she was asking me, she's like, well, what do I do? So I asked her, I said, so let me ask you, do you like the house?
Yeah.
Is this house still plenty big, even though it's not exactly what it says on paper?
How much was it off by? Do you know?
6 or 7 square feet.
Maybe smaller furniture, dude.
It wasn't even that. I said,
Yeah.
you walked in the house, right? The house felt right to you? Think you can put all your furniture in there? Yeah. It's like, so really, we're talking about what's on a piece of paper and not the reality of the house.
Mm-hmm.
House still meets your need, right?
Right.
Well, yeah. I said, okay, so after you've calmed down, call into your agent and ask them what they would do. I said, I'm not your agent. You know, all I can tell you is my thinking of it. So contact your agent and see what the deal is. Because it was wrong everywhere, including the tax record.
Oh, well. Wow, so that wouldn't even imply like the agent's fault, the listing agent's fault. That would be something with the county. Okay. Okay, so I'm looking at some of this and, okay, so let's discuss, positioning, which is page 21. And then I'm gonna wrap this up. Hope I don't get in trouble. So I'm looking at page 20, and we've pretty much, without me knowing it was happening, I pretty much went over this with you guys. Like, know when to walk away, positioning the process, what and how. I mean, we pretty much went through all of this, right? How do you what can I do to fix this? How can I fix this? Those are like open-ended questions. Acknowledge and affirm the common ground. We did that when I'm talking about the HVAC. Hey, split it down the middle. We have common ground. We both want the deal to close, right? You talk to your client, I'll talk to mine, okay? And then if you hear from yours, call me, right? We got some common ground. We want this to close. We want this to happen. We want to get paid. We want happy clients, right? Okay, so positioning. Not choosing a partner. Let's review the scenario and then talk about it, and then we're going to wrap this up to the action plan. So just go over this scenario. This one's kind of cool. I'm going to go bring the questions, see if anybody has questions online. You guys have any questions online? I can see them now. Good. Okay, just let me know. You guys going through the book too? You guys have your book in front of you? Oh, thanks, Adrian. A lot of this stuff is pretty cut and dry if you've been a human being for the last couple of years. Okay. All right, so you guys finished reading this? All right, so many variables come into play here that I want to throw this book out the window. We don't know what the comps are, right? We have no idea, like, are these new appliances? Like, are they brand new? Or, I mean, we have no idea, right? The carpet, I could understand. This one's tough, you know? I don't know. If I'm the buyer's agent, I go to my buyers and I say, hey, listen, let's go in, since they're taking the appliances, let's go in at 335, right? What are they at now? 340. I'd say, hey, listen, if they're going to take the appliances and you want to let them take them, let's knock 5 off. Or Let's go 340, ask for 5,000 in seller subsidy. Less money you have to bring to the table, more money you can use for appliances. And then guess what? You go to the wife and you say, and you get new appliances, all brand new, and you get to pick them out, right? Unless the guy's like me and he likes to cook, then you go to him. And you would know this if you did you did a good buyer consult. You would know Drew loves to cook. You'd be like, Drew, listen, we'll ask for 5,000. We'll keep the offer at 340, but we're going to get you 5,000 so you can go pick out your appliances. Let them take it, right? And then you say, yeah, but what about the carpet? Okay, so let's knock another $3,000 off for the carpet, or let's get some estimates on the carpet, right? That, as the buyer's agent, that may be what I would do. And then I would go to the listing agent and say, hey, so we came in at 340. You don't have any other offers. We're going to ask for 8,000 in seller subsidy for new appliances and new carpet. We can close in 30 days, right? So as the listing agent, I would say, okay, let me research appliances. Let me see how much it would cost to carpet the place. I don't have any other offers coming in. Let me talk to my clients. Go to your clients and say, hey, you guys have that house in Florida. How bad do you want to be there? We're ready to go, Drew. Okay, so would you take this offer?
It's going to cost you to carry that house.
Yep, and it's not.
This house for another month.
Yep, and it's not the best offer. It's not exactly what we were looking for, but you are taking the appliances out. And you didn't tell me that in the beginning because in the listing I put everything conveys. Right? What appliances are they taking? There's not enough detail in here. Are they taking the kitchen, the washer and the dryer? I mean, there's not enough detail in this scenario for us to really, really dig deep to it, right? But there's a solution for everything, right? Okay, so closing costs. You guys know the average closing cost on a home is about 2.5%, right? So you got a home for $300,000. What are the closing costs on that? $7,500. No need to do math, right? So if I'm buying this home, I got to bring about $8,500 to the table, right? If I write this offer and say, hey, I want $8,000 back for appliances and carpet, that's my $8,500 that I normally would have to bring to the table that I could spend on those things. As a buyer, that might make me happy. As a listing agent, if I'm not getting any other offers and my clients are ready to go and they're looking at me as I'm the one holding them up, because in their eyes, you're the one holding them up. Not the market, not that it snowed 75 feet, nothing. It's your fault.
Well, it says there's the 3 other offers all below ask.
Yeah. And we should have more detail as to what those were as well. So that scenario is just doesn't have enough detail. All right, so I'm going to skip through that. But you get what I'm saying is that there's a solution on both sides. You just have to think. Sometimes you got to think outside the box, okay? I have a connection at Empire Carpet, not my favorite place, but the guy will come in and do an estimate for me same day. If I promise him that he gets the sale if they decide to buy the carpet. So he'll run out there and measure and give me an estimate that day or the next day, depending on when I call him, right? So if I have an issue with carpet, I just say, hey, what's up, Byron? Do me a favor. Run to this street, run to this address. I'll meet you there. The basement carpet's in crappy shape. I'm representing the buyer. They don't know if they want to move forward. They want to know how much it's going to be to carpet the place. Okay, Drew, but if they buy carpet, they're buying from me. Yes, Byron. Meet you there, right? Find a solution. There's a solution to all these problems. And over time, you'll figure them out. You'll find someone. Okay. Let me find my remote here. Any questions? Guys good online there? I think am I done here? Oh, I can't even move because I brought that up. Okay. Enhance your learning. What's that mean? So you guys have the action plan. What's the next class? Tomorrow, and that's, you guys know what it is?
Close the deal.
Okay, and that's with David. Okay, that's a good. That should be good too. Tim, you got anything for me? Good.
Actually, I think they rescheduled one of the early classes that got canceled for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think either Thursday or Friday's class from last week.
But David's coming.
Yeah, and I need to. There's a class at 12 The appraiser's at 12 to 1?
It's 12 to 1.
Okay,
With free food.
what, from where? That's a huge decision for me.
From where? It is important. We can't tell you.
Well, we can't make it.
So is that what I am? I'm just a caterer?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I always say
Never.
yeah, talking steaks. Okay. So you guys got any questions for Ed since he's right here? Okay, so let's go over some of the important things to me. If you don't think they're important, I don't care, because I've been doing this a while and I know they are. VA loan. You are representing the seller. Please remember, if the seller wants to sell as is, the VA does not care. There are certain things that the VA requires to be fixed. Please burn this into your brain, okay? Representing the VA buyer. You do a home inspection. The VA buyer says, I'm not going to ask for anything. I'm happy. You're paying my closing costs. You don't think twice, right? Home inspection contingency removed. We don't want anything. 10 days before settlement, that appraiser goes out there and says, guess what, Tim? You need railings on these steps. You need to sand and paint this door. And you got 10 days to get it done.
Paint is a gigantic issue.
Yep.
VA and FHA.
And guess what? Guess what, guys? And out there in WWW land, you don't have 10 days to get it done. You have about 5, because then you have to call him back out and he has to re-inspect. You can't send him pictures.
And that's not free.
Yeah.
Somebody has to pay him to go back out. Guess who that is?
Bum, 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 bum.
Now, normally your loan officer will eat that. That's so don't worry.
Okay, so that is a huge point with me. Know about your loans, right? FHA, they require a few things too. They're not as strict, and you may scoot under the radar. Conventional, doesn't matter, right? Just know, especially because you guys are mainly going to work with buyers in the beginning, I'm pretty sure, right? If you get a listing, that's awesome. Leverage the heck out of it and get some buyers. Know what you're doing, okay? Let's see, what else is important? Get a buyer-broker agreement signed. If this person agrees to work with you, get it in writing, right? Get it signed. Don't not get it signed and then they come into my open house and I'm on fire that day and I get them to come work with me, right? There was a guy in this office, and I say this all the time, named Drew Hoffaker. If I didn't have a buyer-broker agreement signed with these buyers and if they were going out to see open houses, I had to make sure they weren't going to his. He was that good at converting people at open houses. I would be scared to let my buyers go in front of him without an agreement, right? Always get the agreement signed. You'll find another thing is that if you make the transaction win-win and you build a good relationship with the agent on the other side, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. You have agents who feel like they are losing. If they convince their client to pay that $5,000 credit for that HVAC, they feel like they lost. Don't ever feel like that. Okay? Don't ever feel like because you gave up something on either side that you lost, because your client agreed to it. And at the end of the day, they win. They get a great home or they get their property sold. We're not competing with each other. Now, negotiating, we are negotiating. If our clients want something, we're going to ask for it, right? Remember that. It's not us versus them. It's us trying to get the deal done, right? Okay, let me see what else I'd like to just harp on for 2 more minutes. Just know people. You know, if you do, I don't know if you guys have, maybe I'll teach my buyer presentation to you guys one day. Just know your people. How hard is it to get to know someone? You know, you got a dog? Yeah, I got a dog. Oh, so you need a fence? Yeah, why do you need a fence? I got a dog. What kind of dog you got? I got a Boston Terrier. Oh, I got a Boston Terrier too. Like, these things happen. Know your people, right? Know who does the cooking, right? You know, hey, how important is it to you that you have that kitchen? Drew, I don't give a damn about a kitchen. Where's my basement? Where's my big screen? Where can I watch football? How important is a kitchen to you? Oh, I cook every night. I would love to have 5 burners. I would love to have double oven, right? Know who you're talking to. It's not that hard, right? And all these things will pan out. Negotiations are a lot easier if you know your person. Okay? So I encourage all of you to call, yeah.
So quick question.
Yeah.
So when you're going in and sitting down for a consultation, whether it's a buyer or a seller, do you give them a copy of a blank contract? Then just for them to look at?
At the end.
In terms of, when we get an offer, or when we make an offer, these are the forms it's going to be on.
So
If you give them that in terms of, understand what this is, let me know what your questions are now.
in my buyer presentation, I do have a blank contract with me. Depending on how the market is at that time, I say to them, after we're done here, when you agree, I say, when you decide to work with me, we're going to talk about the contract a little bit. And that's because the market is really hot right now. And if we see a home that you absolutely love, we may have to write this off on the back of my trunk. But I need the questions to be limited, so we're going to get those questions out of the way now. So I slide them the buyer broker agreement. Once they agree to work with me, then I'll spend about 30 minutes going over the contract. And all you have to do is, once you learn this contract, and you guys can keep that I gave you, once you learn this contract, you'll know where to really kind of harp on with them, okay? You'll know the hot buttons on the contract. Home inspection stuff, what conveys, things like that. You'll know, and you'll go through and you'll show them, and it'll take you 15 or 20 minutes. And that way they'll be good to go when the time comes, right? I will say anything you can teach your buyer at that buyer presentation is paramount. For example, and I'll let you guys go. When I first started selling real estate, I had only bought one home. I don't remember writing an earnest money deposit. You guys remember writing that earnest money deposit check? You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if you bought a home before, you know that you put an earnest money down, right? My client puts down an EMD check, doesn't have the money in the account, thought the EMD check didn't get cashed till they settled. The EMD check gets cashed in 48 hours upon ratification. I didn't tell him. I didn't know. I didn't remember, right? No one told me. In my buyer presentation, I have a slide. It says earnest money deposit. And it says this is usually 2% of the asking price. And in parentheses, I put, it can be less. We have to negotiate. And then I put will be cashed in big letters, will be cashed within 48 hours of your offer being accepted. Because I want my buyers to be educated. The more you educate your buyer or even your seller, the less headache you will have through the transaction. When my buyer presentation pops up, it says, by the end of this, you will know as much about real estate as I do. No, you will know as much about buying a home as I do. That's all I want, right? You don't want to bounce somebody's account. You don't want to, any surprise is a scary surprise if you don't do this every day, right? Like you box, right? You get punched in the mouth, you're not surprised. If you're walking down the street and get punched in the mouth, you're like, wait a minute, what happened, right?
You're funny.
Thank you. It's the same thing, right? There are no surprises. The more you educate these people on what to expect, the less of a headache you'll have. Now, my advice to everyone here, I love the fact that you guys come to class every day. And I love the fact that you're learning all this stuff. If you are not talking to people, go to www.ups.com and apply to be a driver. I swear to goodness, if you have to talk to people, okay? My mentees, I tell them, sit in my office, and I want you to call everybody in your phone in 5-person increments. I don't care if you know a contract. I don't care if you know about a loan. I'm going to walk you through that. But you will resent this business if 4 months from now you have learned everything in that book and don't have one person to use it on. And you will go back to what it was you were doing before this. I promise you. You will resent the business. You will be like, why did I take this class? Why did I pay $600 to join NVAR? Why am I hemorrhaging cash and none coming in? I promise you. If you leave here today and drive home, how long is your drive home? 15. Call 2 people. How long is your drive home?
I'm not going home. I have an appointment.
How long is your drive home? Are you leaving here to go home?
No.
Where are you going? Upstairs? Okay. When you leave here today, how long is your drive home?
15, 20 minutes.
Call 2 people.
I've already done my call.
Okay, we need to call 2 more. Do you have any buyers or sellers yet?
I'm not even licensed yet.
Okay, call 3 more. I know you're calling though. Like I know this guy calls, okay? This guy right here,
Hey, I'll call. could all have a calling party.
Yeah, this guy right here, he calls, okay? Not only do I call, but after I get off the phone with him, I send him a note. And sometimes I just say, thanks for answering the phone. Love, Drew. I don't overcomplicate it, right? We just want to stay here with them. But you need to call. How long is your drive home?
40 minutes.
Oh, boy.
6 people. Just promise me. I swear, I don't make any money off you guys, but I love to help people, and I would love to see you succeed.
Once you start making the calls, once you start making, like I have, this is what I do, but this is from my previous, I've been in sales for a long time too. I have a little book, and I just mark it down, and I have a contest to see how many people I can.
Cool, so you're making calls. So call me, and this is way off topic, guys. If you want to leave, by all means, just.
This is the biggest thing about this, like sales.
Okay, so what are you saying? You call someone, I mean, what do you,
I already have a database, so it's.
so you call them? Okay, so
I
I'm,
haven't talked to you in a while.
Right.
Want to let you know that I've left the event planning industry. Well, not really, and now I'm more of an event planner to the home buyer. I'm really excited. If you know of anybody that is looking to buy, sell, anything in real estate, keep me in mind. We're gonna get together for coffee. My Starbucks card is loaded. Starbucks is huge. I don't ever invite people to lunch. I know from experience, people are too busy. Lunch is a long time. People don't like to eat in front of people. People want to work out at their, hour lunch. Coffee is awesome, and Starbucks is a treat because it's an expensive coffee. So if you load up your Starbucks card on your app, write it off as a business expense, it's an easy way to get somebody just coffee.
any questions online, guys? Now, we're almost done. We're wrapping up. I think that's great. I think the one thing that you got to do also is qualify them.
Oh, that's already.
Yeah, just say to these people, so listen, if you or someone you knew were buying in real estate, would you use me?
Yeah.
And just ask them. What's the worst that can happen? They say no, right?
You know the response I got to that question yesterday?
What's that?
No, I sent him to my brother. He's an agent with Keller Williams and McLean.
Yeah, and so guess what? You're not going to mail anything to them. You're not going to invite them to movie night.
Senator, thank you.
Oh yeah, but you're not going to invite her when you do movie night. You're not going to spend $15 on her to see a movie, right? This is qualifying here, people. And those people that say they'll use you, you write them down. You send them a thank you note, right? And you mail it to them once a month, or you stay in contact with them. It doesn't have to be anything like mind blowing, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a 3-point shot. Right? You mail them your item of value that says, the last one I sent out said, what are the lights, when the light comes on in your car, what does it mean? And it had a key of different things like flat tire, low tire pressure, low engine oil, right? I sent them that. It's got my face on it. I know where it's going, right? But guess what? They got a handwritten envelope from me. They opened it up. They saw my ugly mug, and they, right? And the next month,
They saw your ugly mug.
again, and then guess what? They decide it's time to sell. Whose ugly mug has been in their trash can all year? This guy right here.
You got to think
That
everybody
guy,
would love.
see?
Listen,
That's what it is.
listen, I've been in real estate. This is my 8th year. I mailed to these people, invited them to movie night, sent them a holiday card, never heard from them for 7 years. They called me and said, we're ready to sell. And I said, I didn't even think you guys were alive anymore. You never came to movie night. Oh, Drew, that's just not us. They sold for $500 and bought for $650. But I consistently sent them something every month for 7 years. Right? So I tried to add up 12 times 7 times 44. What did I spend? Nowhere near what my commission was. Even including my time was nowhere near to what those 2 commission checks equal. Right? It's so easy. Don't overcomplicate it. If all you're doing is this book, what can Brown do for you?
And don't be afraid to go to networking events, because the more they see your face there, you're going to be known as that guy or that girl.
Yeah. If you've got a networking event and there are other realtors there, I don't go.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't go.
Yeah, because each person has their own personality.
And they do.
Like you.
And they do. And you know what? I've gotten to the point in my career now where I want to work with warm leads, warm people. I love referral. 80% of my business last year was referral based. right? Love it. People call you, hey, Drew, Dan told me that you are the man that needs to sell my house. Can you come over? You're damn right. Let me check my schedule, right? Of course, right? So it's very, very, and everybody's different. You know, I love networking events, don't get me wrong. But if there's a realtor at every table, it just throws me off a little bit. You know, there's already enough of us and we're already competing. So I like to work the referral base and open houses. I love doing open houses and meeting somebody at an open house. So I appreciate your time, guys. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
You were entertaining.
Thank you. And listen, go over that contract I gave you, you know, just for fun. If you're bored, like tonight, you can't sleep, there's nothing on TV, start reading this thing. I guarantee you'll be asleep in about 15 minutes, right? But just go through it and find some of the hot points, okay? And my door is always open. If you guys have any questions, just come in.
Second floor?
I'm on the second floor right by the productivity room, right by the copier.
Do you drink coffee?
I don't. I'm already too, I'm drinking caffeine-free stuff right now, so I'm like, green tea. Yeah. Guys, I really appreciate it, and I'm very serious when I say, if you're not talking to people, go somewhere, go find a different line of work.
All righty. Make it a great day.
You're welcome, Chris. Thank you. Is the contract available online somewhere? No, just, that's a contract from one of my listings. If you have my email address, email me. I'll scan it in and send you a copy. No, I'll go to the scanner right now and send it to you. Hey, Adrian, I will gladly go over the buyer presentation with you first, and then since I've already created it, I ask that you donate $5 to KW Cares, and then I'll give you a copy of my buyer presentation. It's in PowerPoint. Thanks, brother. Thanks for being here.
See you, Dennis.
Well, then I'll send it to you twice. Get in the habit of writing those thank you cards, man. I just sent one to my primary care physician. Yeah, just for,
Do you ever make a thank you card? Thank you for your card
yeah,
in there?
you got to do 2 a day. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming. Any questions, come find me. Oh, no problem, Adrian. Thank you for at least trying to attend somehow. Yes, sir. Oh, dude, I'm going to...
He's very, very.
You're welcome.
Passionate.
Yeah, I can see.
My mobile desk. Like it?
Gosh, you need a.
Rachel, you're absolutely welcome. Thank you. Can you Neeson, can you write down my email address? And it's TEAM as in team, SWERSKY at Comcast.net. Shoot me an email and I'll send you a copy of this contract over that I was showing them. It's one of mine. Yeah, that's it. It's one of mine. But I'll shoot me an email now. I'll scan it in and send you over a copy of this so you can just see what I'm talking about. You're welcome. Okay, guys, I'm turning this thing off, so if you need anything, just email me.
Yes, unlimited. Yes.
Dude, the better be lucky this thing was on video, man.
What's up?
They better be lucky this thing was on video. They recorded it. Thanks, man. This sucks, man. What is up with this, like?
I hate it. Yeah, I just go for the presenter. For you guys and Jack.
Yeah.
I'm Manny.
Drew, man.
Nice to meet you. You see me all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
I'd introduce myself.
Yeah. I just, yeah. And then I'm feeling guilty because the class is, like, I was done at 10:30 with 6 hours of curriculum.
I agree with you, man.
I'm gonna throw this shit in the trash, man. Damn. Makes us look stupid in front of people. I'm glad you were here. At least I could be like, hey, Tim, anything? Like, geez. Sheila texted me at 5:35 this morning and said, thanks for doing Ignite. Please stick to the curriculum, because she knows I'll go off. Oh, I got the mic on, dude. Testing. I walked all the way to the elevator with it.
That's so funny.
Thank you, and I'm Chelsea.
We get kicked out of KW right now. We got